If you are the type of business owner that is very busy being busy and perhaps not working on your business but always in your business, then my guest this week, your Business Fairy Godmother, Michelle Broadbent, is the person you need to know. I can't wait for you to hear mine and Michelle's interview. It is full of pure gold. Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 90 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. I can't believe I'm saying episode 90. It really does blow my mind. When I started this podcast, obviously 90 weeks ago, I had no idea it would go so long. I thought that I would run out of ideas for sure by about episode 27. But here I am at episode 90. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know there's lots of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you making me one of them. If you're a first-time listener, then hey, super welcome to you. And if you're a regular listener, then hey, super welcome back to you. I am, of course, the host, Jen Donovan, and it's my job via this podcast and social media and just about everywhere else I hang out to make your business life simpler. Because I know that business can be lonely and complicated. It's rarely easy, but it definitely should be simple, or at least a little bit simpler. So that's my commitment to you on the so-named Small Business Made Simple podcast. One of the ways I can make your life a little bit simpler is if you come and join the Like-Minded Business Owners group on Facebook. It's an amazing group of like-minded business owners, but people that are just so giving and sharing, and people there that will really help you on your journey, help solve your problems, or even just celebrate your wins with you. Just go to Facebook and search Like-Minded Business Owners, or of course just head to the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/90. This episode is brought to you by my next round and my last round for 2020 of my 6-week mastermind program. We've just finished up a program, and the next one starts on the 12th of October. Again, there's only 8 spots available and 4 of them are already taken. So if you want results like Brenda, who said, "Oh my God, I just have to tell you, I have tears of joy today, and I feel so humbled that so many wonderful women from all over the country are now buying my clothes. My online sales have been amazing since Tuesday. In fact, you know that ideal monthly budget, Jen, that we discussed before I started the mastermind? Well, I've almost reached it since the 1st of September. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Or perhaps you want results like Kerry, who said, "Wow, what an awesome session today with everyone, Jen. Thank you. And it's finally hit me. I know the what. I know the how. I know that I need to create some sales funnel and leading clients on a journey to some solutions. I know now what to sell and how to sell, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. Thanks, Jen." They're just 2 of the results that have come out of the last program, or 2 of the last testimonials that clients have given me from the last program. 6 weeks might not seem like a long time, but oh my God, if you are willing and ready and able, 6 weeks can move your business a long, long way. It can really help you get clarity. And of course, there's a community of people to support you and a mentor who gets you and will push you and will also call you on your BS. That, of course, is me. Anyway, if you're keen to find out more, just go to bit.ly, so bit.ly/mastermind with Jen. As I mentioned at the very start, I have a special guest and her name is Michelle Broadbent. She is what you would call the Business Fairy Godmother because she simply sorts out all your stuff, including that stuff that you're hiding from. She cuts through the overwhelm and sets you on the right path with practical solutions tailored just for you. Her biggest secret that she shared with me that I want to share with you before we get into the interview is that everyone, even the ones who seem to seriously have their shite together, struggle with the same things that you and I do. But the thing that sets the ones that are thriving apart from the ones who are in survival mode is that they are ruthless with their time. They have strong boundaries and structure in their lives. So you can set yourself up to thrive today, and that's what we're talking about on the podcast. Here's Michelle. I know that you're going to love her, but just a warning, there's some tough love in this interview, even for me. If only you could have seen me squirming in my seat. Lucky this is a podcast and not a video show. Can't wait for you to listen. Here's Michelle. Michelle, I am really excited to have you on the podcast today because there's so much I want to ask you and there's so much I want to dig into. But before we get started, can you tell my audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Oh, thanks, Jen. Well, my name's Michelle Broadbent and I'm a small business strategist. So I work with entrepreneurs to take their businesses to the next level by relieving them of the operational challenges that come from running a business alone. So my clients describe me as a business fairy godmother. Essentially, I cut through the overwhelm, set them on a path out of it with practical solutions that are tailored to their individual needs.
Yeah, okay. So all of that sounds fantastic. So basically what you do is you help us small business owners who are crying in a puddle fix whatever needs to be fixed. Is that kind of what you do for us?
Essentially, yes, that's what I do. So, I've been supporting entrepreneurs in my own business for about the last 4 years. But prior to that, I had a decade-long career in television where I was employee number 2. So I helped two founders of two businesses start up with, so it was just them and I, and we were wearing all the hats. So we were doing everything ourselves, and then we hired and outsourced and resourced up and built the businesses up that way into like international multi-million-dollar businesses. So from the work that I've done in my business and then, my career before working for myself, I've seen it all. I've seen the highs and the lows, seen what works and what doesn't. But yeah, I see beyond what the public persona is, what the curated social media version of people's lives and business is, and sort of get an insight into how they really function.
Yeah, because I guess that's such a good point. Like what we see on social media isn't always the life that is actually happening in the background. And I do try and keep my podcast clean, so I won't swear. But basically, none of us have got our crap together. At the end of the day, we're all look very calm. Well, not all of us, but most of us look calm on the surface. But we are like little ducks paddling as fast as we can in the background. And I suppose I speak to my audience and my clients about getting past the busy being busy. We seem to have glorified being busy as something that equals money, but clearly it doesn't. Is that the way you see it as well?
100%, Jen. There is this misconception that if we own a business, if it's our name on the door, that we should be doing all of the things. And this is probably a bit of a sweeping statement, but I think as women, we are notoriously bad at this. We just feel like, we need to be doing all of the things all of the time. But unfortunately, businesses don't grow that way. The wheels just keep spinning, and what that leads to ultimately is burnout, and that's no good for anyone. And when people are burnt out, they they fall completely out of love with their business, and they sort of, forget why they started doing it in the first place. So a lot of the work that I do is very much about getting them out of that sort of wheel spinning, plate juggling, I have to be the one to do absolutely everything mode. So there is a lot of, that prying fingernails off the windowsill, like let go, but and demonstrating to them exactly how much more improved their lives can be, and how they can elevate that experience of running their business, and grow their business by just not having to do all of the things all of the time.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm, the saint, or I'm not the person that you see that isn't like the duck. Like I do have a VA, but I do actually struggle to let work go. It is a real process inside my head that I have to go, it's okay. You can give that to Lily. Shout out to Lily if you're listening to the podcast. But it's a letting go process that someone can do it perhaps even better than what you can do it as a business owner.
That's right. There is such a benefit in utilising experts. I mean, there's a raft of different resources that you can bring into your business at different levels, and I think that's that could be a whole podcast episode in itself if we talked about that. But essentially, what you're doing is you're freeing up the amount of time that it takes you to normally do that task. You're freeing up that time for you to focus on the stuff that is in your zone of genius. Like, yes, we're all perfectly capable of, packing up a parcel and addressing it and taking it to the post office, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we should be the ones doing that in our business. We should be focusing on the stuff that only we can do. And if we allocate those hours to that kind of work, imagine the growth that can happen in your business.
Yeah, like I talk about, the 3 money-making activities, and, what are the activities in your business that make the money, and how much time do you spend on those activities each week? And often people are really, quite honest and open to say, I don't actually spend much time on the actual money-making activity because I'm posting on social media, or I'm checking email stats, or I'm, uploading photos to websites and things like that. And I guess that's where the busy being busy comes from. We think if we're sitting at our desk, then clearly we are being busy, but perhaps we're not being productive. So if anyone is listening to this, and I know there's a head nod test going on listening to this, everyone's like, yeah, it sounds like me. What's 1 or 2 practical steps we can take as business owners to get out of our own way, to sort of stop being busy, or reignite, I guess, that whole reason why we started our businesses in the first place?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so yes, I think it's beware of the work that's masquerading as work. It's procrastination. It's some kind of avoidance strategy usually. So what I actually do with my clients, because I think realization and acceptance are the first steps, and often we are completely unaware of exactly how much time these kinds of activities are sucking up. I think we always overestimate or underestimate how long things take. So a real surefire way of identifying what those tasks are and how long you're spending doing it is to do some kind of time task tracker. So that's where over the course of a few days, or ideally a week, you literally, from the moment you open your eyes in the morning until you end your day, is you make a note of the time when you start a task and then the time you finish each task. And it can be everything from checking Instagram to scrolling through the, Daily Mail trash clickbait news. You can, it could be how long you're on the phone to a client. You go, okay, I'm a service provider and I charge by the hour, and I've just spent an hour actually with my client, but you spent 20 minutes before the call preparing, and you spent another 15 minutes afterwards emailing them. It's just having that awareness of exactly what we're spending our time on. And then, I mean, the data doesn't lie. It's all there. You tally it all up at the end of the week, and then you're looking at that information and going, okay, what on here is actually leading me to achieving my business goals? What, like me doing these things, how is this getting me towards my goals? And when I'm sitting down with my clients and going through this kind of information, it is a real eye-opener, because they can see right there what they're spending their time on and where those missed opportunities are. It's like, okay, you've just spent 12 hours this week on social media. And if they're, if they're, again, service-based business, and if their charge out rate is, I don't know, $100 an hour, say, they've just spent like that potential revenue earning time to that value. That's all gone out the window for someone who could be doing that work for them in a much more efficient time, because they are the experts, so they know what they're doing with the time, but also, on probably a much lesser hourly rate, let's be honest, as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think you've just scared everyone, Michelle. I think everyone's just turned off the podcast and run away.
Oh, God. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, dear. It is definitely something that we are our own worst enemies about. And it's trying to develop those skills. And I think that itself, like what you were saying, of tracking time, I think that would be really hard, solid evidence. And, and it just makes, I had one of those little light bulb moments go off inside my head of, when I was in law, everything was done in 6 minutes. And if I couldn't bill that 6 minutes, then what was I doing? Was I helping the firm get to their, revenue goals? If I couldn't bill those 6-minute increments. And I guess it's perhaps bringing some of those old skills into a business now.
It is. It's exactly where the principle came from, actually. And sometimes if people think that it is a little bit overwhelming to track in every single minute, it's like, well, think of even in 15-minute increments, right? Like, but just think of how you are spending the hours in your day. And I'm sure, if you're in a law firm, that data is analysed and it's allocated towards a client, like the billable hours. And if you're running your own business, like, not to sound all Gordon Gekko, but time is money. And if you're spending your time on things that are not leading your business to be making money, then, unless you have like an enormous big money tree in your backyard, how is that all working for you?
Yeah, I think they just ran away and stopped the podcast again. This is a very confronting interview, because we are all seem to be in this boat. So, okay, so we've tracked our time. We've really seen the error of our ways, where we're perhaps not concentrating on our money-making activities. We are going down the Pinterest wormhole, or the Instagram wormhole, or something like that. So how do we get ourselves out of that? Once we have our time tracked, what's the next step that you would take your clients through? Is that where you come in and really start sort of looking at, those logistical type support?
I do. That's right. So it's like, okay, what are some things on here that still do need to happen? Because remember, we talked about that work masquerading as work. There are things on there that you could argue don't need to be done at all, but there are tasks that just need to happen by the course of running a business. For example, social media, it is, for a lot of us, it's a necessary, evil. It's not evil, but it's, it's just like one of those things that we have to do as business owners, and but it doesn't necessarily need to be done by us. So it's working out what needs to happen in the business in order to move towards your business goals, but also having a look at the alternatives to you doing it, to outsource it or delegate it to someone else. And that could be looking at who's already potentially in the business. If you already have some kind of support in your business, is there someone within the business who could do those things for you? Is there someone with like a secret desire to have some more responsibility, or perhaps they have these untapped talents that you don't even know about because you're using them for something else, but they've already got that really good knowledge of your business, which is, so valuable. And also you want to look after the people that you have already working with you. Or then we look outside the business at outsourcing to an expert, someone who is really knowledgeable in those areas. And I'm looking at areas like social media management, could be bookkeeping, it could be legals, it could be logistics and supply of product and that kind of thing. So it's recognizing that yes, there are other people out there in the world who can do that work for you, and potentially in a more efficient and cost-effective manner.
Yeah, yeah. And I think for most small business owners that I see, that I have relationships with, that if you took away the bookkeeping and perhaps the actual posting on social, I'm not necessarily an advocate for getting rid of the strategy that goes with the social. You've still got to work on that. It's your voice, it's your branding.
Yeah.
But the actual put this here, paste that there type of thing. I think if you took those two elements out of most people's businesses, they would have a lot more time to work on their actual money making activities.
Yeah, that's true. Those sort of executable tasks and things like the design of social media content as well, creating images in Canva, resizing photos, all of those things, which, I have clients who do, these are, experts in their field who get paid a lot of money to present to audiences around the world, but they will spend 20 minutes fiddling around in Canva multiple times a week to it's that, again, work masquerading as work.
Yeah, I'm sinking in my seat about now with my hand up. Hey, anything but honest, right?
That's right.
One of the things that you've mentioned a couple of times, which I actually find is a bit of a roadblock to all of this with some business owners, is the word goals. I talk a lot about strategy and how strategy needs to always point to the goals. There's no use being on social for social's sake. And when I start scratching the surface and digging, they don't have any goals. Is that something that you find? Is that something that you help people work with? Or is that sort of they come to you and they've got their goals set?
It's a bit of a mix of both. So I work with some people who are incredibly goal orientated, but what they're missing is all the bits and pieces in the background to actually bring those goals to life. And then there are other people that, that are in an absolute state of overwhelm because they actually have forgotten why they're doing all of this in the first place. So it is a bit of a blend. So what I do is when I start working with them is doing that really big deep dive into their business and get really honest about, okay, so what are we here for? Like, what are you here for? Why are you doing this? Because I think we need to remind ourselves, we often forget as business owners, what we started the business for in the first place. What's our purpose? What's that driving force? What's, some people call it like your North Star or the guiding light or whatever you want to call it. What is the reason why you're here in the first place? Because, let's be, again, brutally honest, because we're all about being honest today. It's like we could potentially be having a much easier life if we were out earning in a salaried job somewhere, working from 9 to 5, where we had, clear job description and, KPIs and all that sort of thing. And we got a regular pay packet and our sick pay was paid and all that. We're not doing this for our health and sanity, are we? Like, so it's reminding them of why they are doing it in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, and certainly that's exactly right. Like, there is sort of, as business owners, we have the inability sometimes to switch off, whereas sometimes if we are just not just, I hate that word just, I do apologize for using the word just, but if we had a job, for instance, the responsibility maybe stops when we walk outside that door. So but that doesn't generally happen when you have your own business. The responsibility seems to follow you around.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true, Jen. But I have to say that where I see women kind of able to get out of that overwhelm quicker and thrive is when they enforce some boundaries in their life and business. And the more successful people are, I feel like the more rigid and ruthless is sort of a bit of a negative word, but they're stricter with their boundaries and how they spend their time. And it helps when you are really clear on your purpose, because that almost acts as like a filter. It's like, okay, well, when you are presented with opportunities or invites, activities, requests for you to do something, whatever it is, it's almost like you kind of go, okay, well, how does this tie into what it is that I actually want to be achieving and why I'm achieving it, or why I want to achieve it, and then how does it align with my purpose? And if it doesn't, that old cliche, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a very polite no. If it's not serving you, if it's not tying into how you want to be spending your time, then it just makes it a lot easier to, yeah, manage your time.
Yeah, my audience would be very familiar with the three words that I hate and I love all at the same time, called for what purpose, and putting that filter over anything that you decide to do or decide to spend your time. It's like, for what purpose? Those three words have served me so well and driven me insane all at the same time. But yeah, absolutely. Michelle, this has been such a great conversation. I hope people are still listening and haven't run away. But yeah, before we finish up, is there any other, little pieces of gold or anything that we've kind of skipped over that you wanted to, talk to my audience about or let my audience know about before we finish up today?
Well, look, only just, yes, sorry, today has probably been a little bit of a tough love episode, but it does come from a good place, and that is, like, to remind yourself that you are the boss of you. This is your business, and you can set it to run in a way that serves you well. And that is by being really protective of your boundaries, of your time, of being clear of what your purpose is. And I think if you can be clear on that, and live your life intentionally around those things, it does, you can run this however you want it to. And if you are, looking for permission, here it is. Like, you're the boss of you, and you can succeed by doing that, and you will live a much better, calmer life if you, keep that in mind.
What a beautiful way to finish off the podcast. I absolutely love those words of wisdom. Thank you. And I think that we all needed to hear that, or maybe not all, but I think most of us needed to hear that a little bit today. Michelle, how can someone get in contact with you? What's the best way to check out what you do and, to follow along your journey?
So you can jump over to my website, which is michellebroadbent.com.au. I hang out on Instagram. My handle's Mish Broadbent, so MICHBROADBENT. Or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on there as well. But yeah, I'd love to connect with you. And yeah, Jen, thank you for having me. I hope I haven't scared everybody.
No, Michelle, it's been invaluable. It's so good. I think yeah, if COVID, has overwhelmed us all, but I think, just getting some really clarity, some good clarity around what we do, why we're here, what we're doing it for. I think it's been a perfect, chat today to learn all of that. So I can't thank you enough for coming on. Of course, all those links will be in the show notes. But yeah, huge thank you for giving up your time to have a bit of a chat to us today.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So how did you go? Did you squirm just a wee bit? Full disclosure, I did. Some of that laughing was done with the ha ha, let's move on before I burst into flames. Ha ha. It wasn't really me laughing because it was funny. It was me laughing because I was feeling very uncomfortable at some of the things that she was calling out. I loved her value, I loved her honesty and her passion. All her contact details are, of course, in the show notes. So go connect with Michelle, tell her how much you loved this episode, and maybe even let her know if she made you squirm as well. But that's it for episode 90. If you've got questions, head into the Like-Minded Business Owners group or DM me on Instagram with any questions you might have. I will, of course, be back next Thursday with another great episode to help you simplify your business in 2020. If you're enjoying this podcast, then please hit the subscribe button. And if you get a chance, I would love a rating and a review. That would just mean the world to me. Otherwise, I will see you for episode 91 next week, where I again be amazed that I'm saying episode 91. But in the meantime, let's hang out and get social on social. You can find me at Instagram, Facebook, and of course, LinkedIn. But whatever you do, my small business peeps, remember, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
Say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.